Wake you up.
Right.
Hello. Mine's on.
Hello.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Please come into the front. We're in this very large room, so no need to be all the way at the back. Anyone in the hall, please come join us. Everyone online, thank you as well for joining us. Please feel free to engage in the chat and ask questions. So thank you all for being here. Appreciate you all coming all this way. We have a really great panel lined up here to talk about innovations and misconceptions in housing production, talking about manufactured, modular, and 3D printed homes with some experts. So we're really glad that they could all join us. We have Ramsey Cohen here, the Director of Industry and Community Affairs from Clayton Homes. Daniel Elkin, Director of Policy, Impact, and Innovation at Come Dream, Come Build. RaShawna Fahie, Manufactured Housing Program Director at NPHS. And Gene Eidelman, co-founder of Azure Printed Homes. So really glad to have them all join us. Just a few quick housekeeping things. You all, if anyone is on social media, remember to hashtag Rural Talks. And really just want to remind you that we have a great reception happening just after this session. Cocktail reception by the pool. So we really invite you all to join us and look forward to seeing you there after this. So thank you all for being here, and I will pass it on to our panel now.
Hey, hello. Good afternoon, everybody. Really appreciate everyone coming and being here today. Looking forward to sharing a lot of different things with you. And I think we have a fantastic panel and looking forward to a robust dialogue about housing production. And I think there's a lot of really great innovative things happening in the space. As you're probably well aware, there's 1,000 different reports and things you could go get that shows that our country is in dire need of additional housing, not just affordable, but housing more generally. We're behind in terms of housing production. And so excited to share some of the innovations in that space. So my name's Ramsey Cohen. I'm the Director of Industry and Community Affairs for Clayton Homes. I'm going to go first. The way we're going to work this is we're each going to share some thoughts and have a little presentation each that we're going to give. And after that, we're going to open it up for some dialogue and conversation. So as you think of things, please write them down. We're looking forward to answering those questions and discussing them with you. So I'll go first. And things I want to talk with you about are CrossMod, which is our newest innovation in the manufactured housing space, and offsite construction more generally. So hoping to just kind of lay the groundwork for you about the offsite building world. One of the things, and this is a resource that we want to make available to you. So when you see click here, that's really just so that this can be a useful resource to you later. So please connect with me. Happy to get you a copy of this presentation. But we've been around for a long time. You can see our purpose statement there, opening doors to a better life. been around since 1956, a very old brand. And so I like to say that sometimes the best new idea is a very old idea. So building homes offsite, manufactured housing is something that's been around for quite some time. Another important lens I like to always bring up is that at Clayton Homes, we are one of America's largest home builders. In the manufactured housing space, we make up a fairly healthy percentage of that specific industry. We've also grown in the site-built space, and now we'll probably end this year as one of the top 6 home builders in the country. But we are a values-driven organization, so you can see those values on the screen there. And for us, I think the ones that really resonate with this panel, this group, is driving change. We always want to work to be innovative, to be open to new ideas, pursuing new projects, ultimately doing good. We want to leave the communities and people that we work with and collaborate with better than we found them. And then we always want to earn trust. So we're always looking to learn from those that we're partnering with as much as we are to help educate and help bring new attainable homeowners homes to the marketplace. So as I mentioned earlier, new housing stock is really, really low, right? And so this is data from the St. Louis Fed. And one of the things that we've seen is that average average homes on the market are sitting around 42 years old. That's an important thing to note because the Appraisal Institute gives the average economic life of a home to be about 60 years. And so what we're seeing is a lot of the available housing stock right now is, one, not attainably priced, and then two, is going to start entering into the years where there's going to be significant repair costs. There's going to be significant upkeep. You're going to have to update electrical. You're going to have to do foundation work. So while a home may be attainably priced right now, that pending repair cost is going to make it very difficult for a consumer to keep that home up. And the other is that we're seeing not just affordable homes being priced out of the market, we're seeing middle income earners being priced out of the market. So this is from the NAR. You can see comparing April of 2018 to April of 2023, that I want to call out the 75,000 household income. That's a strong middle income family, right? The amount of homes on the marketplace that are affordable and attainable to that household has shrunk dramatically from about 50% of available home listings to just below a quarter. And it's continuing to trend in that same direction of where there just aren't any homes available for people in that middle income. So it's a real challenge. I mention that because it's a real challenge, not just on the lower end of the attainable and affordable spectrum, but it's now becoming a real issue for those middle income earners as well. So to give you some context, a little history on our industry, not just Clayton as an organization, the kind of grandfather to our industry, right, was the Sears catalog homes, right? Prefabricated homes, those Craftsman series. You'd order it, they have the exact lumber cuts, the exact number of nails and things you need. That really was the first kind of prefabricated homes available in the marketplace. You move into the 1950s and 60s, we see a large boom in population, and we have homes that truly are mobile. When you hear the term mobile home, which is not a thing we produce anymore, I'll speak on that more in a moment, but these are homes that were designed to be moved, right? They were for a growing country where people had a lot of movement, were moving around, pursuing new opportunities around the country. And we really came to a major inflection point in 1976. And for our industry, that's a key moment because that's when the federal government stepped in. We're regulated by HUD. They stepped in and started to mandate the way our homes were built. They gave us a specific building code to follow, and everyone in our industry now follows this very high and exacting standard to meet what we call the HUD code. That's important for us for a couple of different reasons. One, primarily being it no longer gives us a patchwork of regulation and building codes that we have to meet. As you can imagine, trying to meet the standards and building codes for which could change from municipality and jurisdiction to jurisdiction, that becomes a real challenge, right? So this HUD code enables our industry to have repeatable processes, and that enables us to bring homes to market that are going to be more attainably priced. You can imagine if you were to try and produce, if Samsung were to try and produce TVs, but every TV had to be built to a different standard, TVs would be unaffordable, right? You wouldn't have them in every home. So 76 was a major inflection point for us. Mentioned earlier that we're We've started to move into the site building space as a company. So we've acquired a number of site builders across the country. We've entered a point now where we're really trying to learn best practices from site building, as well as taking our expertise and the long history we have in offsite construction and manufactured housing. We're trying to blur those lines. And that's led us to the most recent innovation in our space, which is CrossMod. This is a home that is built off site, still built to that federal HUD code, but as you can see on the screen here, has a number of higher standards that we have to meet. It does not necessarily have the same look and curb appeal as a traditional manufactured home. That does increase cost somewhat, but not too dramatically. And this is a home type that we worked with the GSEs, Fannie, Freddie, FHA, to come up with clear and exact standards that we had to build to. And what that is enabled is that these homes now appraise and finance just like a site-built home. And that's really key for our industry because that's never been true in the past. There are really three kind of main categories. And again, this is a slide that I'm happy to get to you so you have a copy of this. But you have manufactured homes, our core product on the left. On the right, you have modular homes. That's a home that is built to a state and local code. CrossMod sits somewhere in the middle. It has the look and appearance of that more modular product, but it has enabled us to go at the speed of production that we can with manufactured homes. Really the key thing being that appraisers are required to use two site-built homes when appraising these homes as their comparables. That's never been done for manufactured housing before. So it really is putting us on par as a traditional 30-year conventional loan. That's really critical for us. Here's just some pictures of neighborhoods and subdivisions that we've done. This one is one of the first CrossMod subdivisions we did. I love to show this one. This is one that was done in East Tennessee. This was a 18-home subdivision that from groundbreaking to completion and customers moved into each one of these homes was about 11 months. So in terms of speed of production, we're able to go a lot faster than a traditional site builder. It also presents a lot of opportunity for infill. Here are some images of a project we just recently completed in Atlanta, where we were able to bring in these two homes on two home sites. It's one of the first major metro areas that we've pursued. Typically, there have been a lot of zoning regulations that make it difficult for us to be the solution we should be in many places, and Atlanta was one of those. We've been able to overcome those barriers. And again, thinking about the speed of production, the picture on the left was taken about 4 p.m. on a Tuesday. The picture on the right was taken about 10 a.m. That next Wednesday morning. So this is a home that, again, blurring the lines, you can see the home is built off-site. The foundation was built there on-site. And then the project is finished by site building a garage and site building a porch. So you can see finished project there. So you can see where the garage and the front porch were completed there on site. So it's a really exciting opportunity for us to bring more homes more quickly to the marketplace. And, we in our industry can produce homes that range in cost dramatically, right? If you need a solution that's between 45 and 450,000, we have an option that's going to be available. With this new innovation of CrossMod, we have homes that are going to appraise and finance just like site built, which really is key because it enables a whole new slew of consumers to be able to consider us where maybe in the past we might not have entered that consideration set. So there are a couple other images of completed projects and homes that we do. I think one of the things a lot of people are struck by is that it would be difficult for you to tell this is a home that was built off site if you were not being shown these pictures in the context of a presentation about off-site construction. So one of the last things I want to brag about Clayton is that we are moving to build all of our homes to meet the Department of Energy's Zero Energy Ready Home standards. That was really driven by a desire for us to think holistically about attainable home ownership. And so DOE's estimates are that a homeowner would have about a 50% reduction in their utility cost being in a home built to Zero Energy Ready standards. We've done a little over 11,000 of those homes to date, but starting January of next year, we're going to move to do 100% of our homes will be built to that very high standard. And again, doing that with the idea of trying to reduce that cost of home ownership, not just the monthly payment, not just the initial cost to buy or build a home, but really that total holistic cost to keep the home up so we can keep more families in their homes. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Daniel now.
Thank you so much. Can everybody hear me okay? Fantastic. Okay. So I'm Daniel Elkin, Director of Policy for Come Dream, Come Build. We are one of the largest providers of affordable housing in Texas. We operate mostly in the Rio Grande Valley, which is about as far south in Texas as you can get, right on the U.S.-Mexico border, with our main place that we're located being Brownsville. I'm here today to talk about our volumetric modular housing manufacturing system called DreamBuild. What DreamBuild does is basically produces a 572 square foot home to our clients, mostly low income, at the price of about $60,000 to the client. We are able to build these homes and get them on site we build them in an off-site manufacturing location, and we get them to the on-site within about 30 days. The client can move in. And so this is really our solution to a lot of the major housing shortages that we've seen in our area that I think very much align with your housing stock report that you mentioned. A little bit of background of how we got to the DreamBuild system. We've been doing housing for a long time in the Rio Grande Valley. Always the traditional way. We would find a contractor and we would work our subsidies to try and get to the price point that our clients could afford. But more and more we realized that we just couldn't do it anymore, right? It's simply too hard. The price of homes had gone up so much that in order to kind of find that sweet spot of a payment that they could reach it was increasingly impossible. And so we knew we needed something else and something new, but we were struggling to kind of figure out what that was. Then, perchance, and kind of as a side thing, we started getting involved in disaster recovery. And we started looking at ways to try and since we're on the Gulf Coast, and we are often faced with hurricanes and major weather events, we were thinking about, okay, well, how can we get temporary homes to people to replace, to put them into a safe housing location after a hurricane hits? And that's really what got us down the road of looking into modular housing. And we created a system called Rapido, in which we could, after a hurricane, replace housing stock, not just temporary, but then we figured out, hey, these can actually be permanent homes. This is something that can be a solution in a disaster recovery situation. But then we stepped back and we were like, why are we waiting for a hurricane to do this? There's no reason that we need to wait for a hurricane to start to implement a system that builds homes in this way. We are in a housing disaster in the Rio Grande Valley all the time. It is our life. We are one of the fastest growing, if you include the Matamoros and Brownsville and many of the urban areas on the Mexico side and the U.S. side. If you include all of those together, we are the fastest growing region in North America. And so we feel those housing pressures every day. In Brownsville, Texas, we have one of the highest rates of housing underproduction in the country, meaning that given our rapid growth in this area, we are not producing enough units to meet demand. And that's always been true, but now it's just increasingly so. So we said, look, we have this disaster now. Why don't we use this system to start to deploy units for permanent housing right now? So we created DreamBuild. And that's in large part because the housing industry, the traditional housing industry, like I said, is broken. Not only do you have budget cuts that makes it so that we can't meet the subsidies, but we also find that everything often gets kind of siloed in the housing system, right? There's the housing construction, but then there's the housing lending, but then there's the finance education. Everything kind of operates in a separate sphere. And so we thought with our product of DreamBuild, how can we kind of bring all of those things together in a way that works together? And so we'll get into more detail as I go through, but it really, I would say the main feature of DreamBuild is to break down some of these silos. All with these as our main principles. As we thought about how can we help our low-income clients, many of them having median household incomes of $30,000 to $40,000, living in colonias and rural areas across South Texas, what are the things that are important to us in serving them in DreamBuild? And the first one that we came to is that choice empowers. Low-income people when they're trying to become homeowners, they often don't have choices, right? It's, hey, this is the house you can afford. This is what's in it. That's what you got. Done deal. And so for us, it was important that Dream Build be something that would be customizable to them. Something that these homes, they can step in with our counselors and say, hey, this is what I want in my home. This is what's important to me. And so we'll get into what they can customize in a moment, but that choice in their living situation and what it looks like and what it feels like for them, extremely important. The other thing, though, that we thought modular housing kind of provided us is the ability for them to grow their home. Yes, 572 square feet is the base model, but with our system, they can grow that home over time. So as their needs change, they can throw another modular box onto their house. We can incorporate it in, work it into their existing loan, and they grow over time. The other thing that we wanted to do is make sure that they're growing their equity when they're doing that. That this is something that they are building equity. Our mission at CDCB is that they build wealth through home ownership. And so everything that we do, we're making sure that equity is part of it so that these are appraising correctly and they're getting the value from owning these homes. Additionally, we want to build sustainably by having local control as much as we can of the manufacturing process. And then lastly, offsite manufacturing. This is what allows us to achieve scale and speed, is that we can build these boxes offsite, transport them to the site, attach them to their foundations. Again, all get the client from the moment that the purchase is made to them in the homes within 30 days. So I talked about choice. Right away, our clients have a choice in terms of how they want that layout of their initial house. That 572 square foot model is made up of 2 modular boxes, what we call boxes. And we can put them together in basically 2 layouts. One is what we call the L core, which is basically this L formation that you see here, or what we call the O core. Now, I think something that is worth mentioning here about the production process is that these boxes, we divide them between what's called a wet box and a dry box. Basically, the wet box is the box that has your kitchen and your bathroom and is going to require plumbing attachments. Your dry box does not. This is important because in our manufacturing process, we can kind of divide the labor and specialize it in a certain way to produce each box independently, but then they come together at the site. But that's not the only thing they can choose. Floor plan is a big part of it, but they can also choose their interior finishes. They can choose their exterior materials, right? If they want it to be wood, if they want it to be brick, these are things that they can customize to what they want. They can choose the type of porch they want. They can choose where they want the porch, and they can choose their paint colors. The added element that we've added to this is we're creating an app, CDCB Blue, where basically our clients can go in and choose this right in an app, right? They can build their home. They see how much they qualified for in terms of payments, and then it's just mixing and matching to their desire from there, right? Hey, maybe I want the granite countertop. Oh, I went over my price. Okay, I'm going to retract on that, but I do want this other thing. They can kind of go as they go and figure out what they can afford within what they've already been approved for. And as I mentioned, they can grow their home. This was one of the most important features for us because, yes, our clients maybe at first can only afford the 572 square foot option. So they come in, they get that base model, but as any of us in this room can attest, life changes. Life can change fast. So if we have a married couple that suddenly they're going to have a family and they want an extra bedroom, maybe they're now at a point in their journey where they're a few years removed from buying that initial model, but now, hey, we're ready for an extra family room. We can add that in. We're ready for an extra bedroom. We can add that in. Grandma or grandpa needs to move in. Okay, we get another bedroom. So this was important for us that you have this level of customization. And where did we get this idea? We got this idea from within our own community. If you know anything about colonias, that is what colonias are known for, is families adapting on the fly, being like, hey, we need an add-on to this house. Let's get some friends together, build it over the weekend, and here we go. And we thought, instead of looking down on that, we looked at that and said, hey, that's innovation right there. How do we tap into it in a way that's up to code and then again gains equity? That's the most important part. We want these additions to make sure they're adding to people's wealth. So there's a few options that they can add on. Like I said, we can add a bedroom with a bathroom. We can add just what we call a flex box, which is just kind of an open space that would be like a larger living room. Or we can add what is one of our more popular options, a Jack and Jill bedroom. Basically for a boy and a girl, right? Most likely for kids with an adjoined bathroom. So we call it our Jack and Jill option. One of those things that ties back to our sustainability option is we were really environmentally conscious in our construction. And we also make sure that all of our design and builds meet the enterprise green community standards. We want to make sure that when we're putting families in these homes, we're doing everything we can to reduce their costs on the back end. Our families saving on monthly expenses means that they're saving more money to build their own wealth and possibly to expand their homes. We're also moving towards integrating solar options with TEPRI. We've put in an application with the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund so that we will be able to, hopefully, if we're awarded this money, make sure that every single dream build comes with a solar option. Again, another option that they can click and they can see, hey, this will be my monthly savings if I go solar. So I'll go ahead and make that investment now and move forward from there. Offsite manufacturing. This is really kind of the key to the whole system because it allows us to build at such a cheaper overall cost. And if I'm being honest with you, I think this was also the most challenging piece to the whole thing because a lot of our in-house builders were used to traditional building. And then suddenly one day we're like, hey, we're doing offsite manufacturing now. And so their first initial mindset was like, okay, how do I build a house not on site in an offsite? And they didn't really realize like that's not what we're doing. We're manufacturing now. We are now a manufacturing company. We now have assembly lines. And so a lot of our in-house builders were like, yeah, I don't know how to do this. This is a whole new thing. So we actually had to bring in industrial engineers trained in the ability to set up manufacturing lines, assembly lines, I should say, so as to increase production. So it's a major change in mindset. This is that finished product. Again, different options in terms of how you want to customize the front. This is our wood option, which in our area is not as popular as our brick options. And so this is the different features that you can get here. Different color brick, right? So again, this is almost a fully customizable home in every way that you can think of, which again, our clients absolutely love. And this is the interior. So again, all of this is kind of customizable in terms of, what kind of countertops they want, what kind of sink they want. They get to really build this thing from the ground up, which is really, truly an amazing feature. And that's all I've got. So thank you. I look forward to your questions.
Hello, I am RaShawna with Homes by NPHS. And so combining the two that you've already heard, I'm going to speak more so to the affordability factor. We are located here in Southern California. Our office is in Rancho Cucamonga. And one of the biggest things that we face is affordable housing. And so I know we have all addressed the housing crisis as it affects the unhoused, but looking at really the affordability factor. And so one of my slogans is basically keeping homeownership affordable, one house at a time. And so we do that with manufactured housing. And so here is our latest demonstration project in the city of San Bernardino. And it's a demonstration project because the front house is 1,500 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and a site-built garage is attached. But we also added the ADU component. So the ADU in back is actually 800 square feet, 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, and it's going to have a carport that's attached to that. So just looking at how we can house more people just on the same lot there. And so again, at Homes by NPHS, just looking at how we can increase supply, yes, but at the same time, looking at the affordability factor, because here in California, housing prices are astronomical. And so also being able to increase the numbers and working with developers as well. That is something that we're reaching out to local developers to say, hey, as Ramsey mentioned, we can now offer the cross mod options to developers local in the area as well. And then, of course, incorporating the energy efficiency features that Ramsey also mentioned there. And so it just makes it so much easier and faster for us to create homes for those to purchase. And so here, again, just at our initial groundbreaking of that project, what we have determined here in Southern California is we are able to decrease the amount by at least 30% as traditional site-built construction. So not only just the speed, but again, we have now determined the actual savings with that. And then at NPHS, we actually sell our units to low-income families. And so that is something that we are definitely proud of and what we will continue to do. And so here, just really looking at how we can increase and how we can spread the word with what we're doing. We've partnered with the city of San Bernardino, and with their partnership, we are able to infill their lots that they assign to us. And in the infill process, what we have determined is, again, being able to get the homes to lot much quicker than traditional built, but also being able to, with the cross mod, being able to offer the financing options for our clients. And so, again, just being able to show you what the end result really looks like. And for those products, I can also speak to our last set of homes that we produced. They appraised for over $300,000. However, our first-time home buyers only needed to qualify for $180,000 to move into the 3-bedroom, 1,500 square foot home.
It's tough to be the last one, not only because of great speakers, but also the cocktails are about to start. So, and I can't come from Eastern Europe. I'm actually from Ukraine, so I know that cocktails are important. So, go. My name is Gene Eidelman. Great to be here with you. I live in Los Angeles, just about a little bit more than 2 hours away from here, and I'm co-founder of Azure Printed Homes. So this is the sky you will see tonight if you just arrived here today. It's beautiful out here, right? And this is one of the units we just delivered 3 weeks ago to a community just in Northern California. The big green. Well, welcome to the next dimension of living. I knew that I will be going last, so I am not gonna. This is not going to be necessarily a comparison, but just give you an insight of some of the new innovation that's happening in our space. So many people ask, why Azure? My son speaks Italian and Spanish, so he felt it was a good name without telling me what exactly it meant. And my business partner translated it means cloudless skies and clear water. So that's what we're trying to deliver. A little bit history of the company is I've been developing real estate for 30 plus years. And 5 years ago, when I came back to LA after being in Atlanta, of all places, and Northern California, I decided to actually get a job for a change. And so I became chief operating officer of a large construction company in LA. And switching a hat from a developer to a contractor was an awakening experience. contractors used to love to work with me because I would be very thorough in the plans and the permit and told them, don't call me with change orders. Tell me when it's done, right? So there I was on the other side and just realized how difficult construction business is. And so after a year and a half of working for this company, I took my best project manager. I said, let's try to do something different. And so this was a little bit more than 4 years ago. And initially, we didn't know how to spell 3D printing. But the plan was kind of simple. It's like, can we build faster, less expensive, and with positive environmental impact? You all have seen this trash cans in front of the on-site built homes. It seems like half of the materials you buy from Home Depot ends up in a trash can, right, before it gets built. And so we tried that for the first 6 months. This was right after fires in Malibu, so we did a lot of rebuilds there. And we thought that we could make a difference by better hiring, more automation, better software. But we just realized that a lot of those kind of incremental changes are not gonna make a difference. And so when COVID started, that was actually our opportunity. The projects were going on. We let all of our staff work from home. So it was my business partner and I sitting and looking at each other. How are we going to meet that mission faster, less expensive, and less environmental impact? And so I asked questions. He figures out how to get it done. I said, why not 3D print them, right? And even 4 years ago, there was a lot of 3D printing with cement. So we really ruled out traditional construction. We knew we wanted to do something different. And by looking at 3D printing, it kind of using cement made sense during COVID because lumber prices are so high. So people could say there is a cost advantage, right? It's not that anymore. Timing wise, you have to bring all the equipment to the site. And so maybe if you do 100 unit subdivision, you can do all of this faster. But in Southern California, we don't have very big lots. So bringing a machine, dragging a 3D printer with you just wouldn't make sense. So that led us to say we're going to do it in the factory. And finally, the product. And I'm a big believer in show and tell. So at the end of this, you can come. We decided to use recycled plastic. And I used to say that people say, plastic, come on. What does it feel like? So you will have, this stuff is pretty hard. When you feel free to come up, I'll let you kick the tires here a little bit. It's 60% recycled plastic, and the balance is the secret sauce. It's fiberglass. That's what adds the rigidity. It's carbon fiber. That's what adds the ability not to expand and contract when it's too cold or too hot. We had UV stabilizer, plastic fades. We've now had units, we produced our first one 18 months ago. It's still the same color it was made initially. Fire resistance, we can add additives. I mean, we work with a very flexible product that we can really, we've been working on this now for almost 5 years. We produced our first units last year and started manufacturing in May. We're in the fourth material. It's ending up to be more of a material science than necessarily robotics or 3D printing, because it's a material that is kind of complicated to figure out the right mix. And boy, when you do figure out, it really is a beautiful thing to see. In terms of speed, again, companies here should be, they're doing kind of what traditional housing manufacturer, they're doing it much faster. We had a customer order a little backyard studio. It's 120 square feet, right? Ordered it yesterday, but delivered before Christmas. So we print a module in 24 hours. Module can be from 100 to 200 square feet. So a little 120 square feet unit takes 24 hours to print and 4 days to finish. So we can deliver it in 5 days. For a 2-bedroom house. And by the way, this modules, I also brought in my car. I forgot to bring them here, but if you're around later today, I can bring you my Lego set. So we really build this 100 and 200 square feet modules that we really can connect them. They can be all together, kind of in line. They can be an L shape. They can be a U shape, you name it. And we really have, with 3D printing, there's a lot of flexibility. And so back to what you spoke around, some people, in California, I mean, I'll take Brownsville on for shortage of housing. We have 75,000 homeless in LA County. So we're not talking about future income. I mean, we just have an unbelievable shortage. And, you know, I just came back from a homeless conference in San Diego, and my premise is that homelessness is driven by unaffordability is really true. I mean, there was a very good study shown at the conference that compared two cities like Cleveland and Boston, or Cleveland and New York, right? Both cold climates, you would think homeless wouldn't want to live there. They would want to move to California. First of all, 80% of the people who are homeless starting in the community where they become homeless. But you compare the rents. You know, in Cleveland, you can afford a one bedroom for $600, $700. You can put together funding for that. In Boston, rents are $2,000 plus. In California, $2,500 plus. There is no way to put it together. And so again, there's so much argument about homeless. You know, there are drug problems, there are mental crisis, but a lot of those crises develop after people end up on the street. So there is a really, I mean, again, coming from a third world country where I come from, to see what's happening to America is unacceptable. It's unacceptable. I'm glad to talk with you because there are so many not-for-profit developers, lenders, manufacturers. We got to solve this crisis. And that's the beauty of America. You know, we don't do everything right, but when we identify the problem, you know, we figure out how to do it. You know, we were not able to compete with autos, and now Tesla beating everybody around the world, right? And others. So I really believe that this is the most exciting time in our time to really be able to figure out to do housing different. And that's what we're presenting. So we have an exciting year ahead of us. So we did about $5 million in revenue this year, which is better than any year before. We're going to triple our capacity. So January 1, we're moving to a much larger. We're basically going from one 3D printer to three 3D printers. We have plenty of orders to fulfill that increase in capacity. Our facilities are very small. So that's another kind of, you know, shipping costs a lot of times add so much to the cost. So our facilities are under 20,000 square feet for each factory. They can make 15 to 30 million in production. So our vision is we'll triple this year with just a much larger factory here. And then next year, our plan to open 2 other factories to serve East Coast and the middle of the country. A lot of demand internationally. We're discussing licensing deals where people can license our technology and do it in places that are too far away from here. In addition to increasing, by the way, LA is actually a very interesting place to manufacture because we have people from Tesla, from aerospace companies. There has been a 3D printed rocket just been launched earlier this year. So we have some incredibly smart people in the area who are helping us put together a factory of the future. And so this year, so in terms of environmental impact, I mean, we're going to use over 1 million pounds of recycled plastic this year. So we take a water bottle, recycled water bottles, and convert them into housing. So really a positive impact. Our units are very, very well insulated. So, and in California, it's a requirement to have a solar if you are a primary residence. So most of our product comes with solar panels, and they completely operate off-grid. We're now working on a totally off-grid solution. We can have a portable septic system and a water generating system. So the idea is, especially for rural America, where there is no infrastructure, for us to be able to do this cost effectively we're also going to go vertical. So there's lots of demand to go. Right now, all of our structures for 1 story. We're working with a couple developers who want us to go vertical and go to be able to slide our units. They're also very light. So we're going to deliver you in January by helicopter. I mean, they're light, they're very sustainable, and they're beautiful. I always said, you know, when I grew up in the former Soviet Union, buildings are ugly there. I mean, I hate seeing what's happening to my city. I'm from Kiev, but boy, I just hate that people are dying. But to demolish all those structures, let Russians let them do that. I mean, they're ugly, they're terrible, You know, we used to live on the 6th floor without an elevator. You know, carrying groceries every morning was not good. So I always said there is no reason why affordable housing can't be beautiful, right? And so, yeah, we're on a mission to do something very, very different. And I'm now seeing others trying to do all kind of innovative things. So it's the most exciting time. I'd love to talk with you. I can send you the slides. I can send you a lot more slides with some beautiful finishes, and really we can paint them outside in any color. You know, they really will look something very, very, very different from what you've seen before. Something like this. And so this little unit, 180 square feet, the developer paid $40,000 for it. Now, you know, he's now renting it for $650 a night. So very good return on investment, right? But they look cool, and yeah, they'll be more than happy to answer any questions you might have.
Yeah, I think we already have at least one question. I think oh, yes, I believe he's asking if we could pass around the panel there. Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking for a couple of hands. I think we have a question over here in the front. I believe they'll bring you a microphone so that those who are joining us virtually will be able to hear your question. So
great job. You did great.
Got it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, fantastic. Quick questions there's actually two. One is that for the first two panelists, but I already know you're building in California. Are there specific challenges? Because I've done modular where you have to go through the Department of Housing and Community Development. There's sort of red tape there. The second question is, you know, Katerra was this well-known failure that happened in modular housing. I've seen about 5 or 6 of these modular organizations that didn't make it. What lessons have you learned that are going to set you apart and be more sustainable in the future?
Yeah, go ahead.
I can speak to our largest challenge here, especially in San Bernardino County, is definitely zoning and permitting. That is our biggest challenge. We have determined within our organization, we have to educate all of the municipalities on the manufactured home process, because a lot of times they don't understand, they don't quite grasp what it is that we're doing. And so they want to apply site construction to what a manufactured home is, and it is not. And so really being able to speak to zoning and permits, that is our biggest hurdle, period, point blank. Unfortunately, I have a client where their house was ready in 28 days. However, and this is LA County, the unit's still in storage because we are fighting through the permit process.
Yeah, I'd be curious, Daniel, to hear kind of your perspective on where and how. I know for us, looking at, with a more national picture, zoning is one of, if not the most real ceiling on our industry and our ability to grow, right? I would say that offsite construction, manufactured housing, we face what I'd call NIMBYism plus, that like we have regular NIMBYism of we just don't want new construction. We don't want new homes, right? And I think the saying is, if you don't want it in your backyard, prepare for homelessness in your front. I think that's very true. We have the additional barriers of old stigma against our products, existing laws that were written as a reaction to a type of product that we don't make anymore for a mobile home, right? That we don't produce. How has that been an issue for you guys focused there in South Texas, and how have you overcome that?
I think a little bit. I mean, superficially speaking, I think there's been a little bit of that stigma that we run into. As soon as people hear manufactured housing, they're thinking mobile homes, they're thinking mobile home parks. So really just kind of having to educate people of like, no, this is something different so that they understand that. Also, I think just gaining state license in order to be a manufacturer. It took us a year to finally get our state licensure in Texas. We now have it, but that's extremely important because now we don't have to rely on outside contractors to come and hook things up. We're able to do it ourselves because we have state licensure to go ahead and do it. And we're franchising this out to other groups, other communities across the country. And that is the challenge in other places as well. Arkansas, we're going through the process of state licensure. We're opening a franchise in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. So I would say that has been one of our biggest challenges to this point.
I'll answer the last part of your question. How do we not become another Katerra? We don't have as much money as Katerra raised. So that's one way. It's like, it's been very hard to raise money. So my partner and I invested originally the money that we've made in our previous businesses and been successful raising our seed round. But one of the problems with Katerra, they never kind of thought about profitability. They really were thinking about top line. And really the investors now are very much focused on unit economics. So we're very, very careful of how do we price it. I also don't like large plants. Again, having one huge facility, I think they started in Arizona, right? So in a low cost market, big facility competing with people who've been in business for 50 years or 60 years is not a smart way to do it. So we started in California, a very high market. Our 2-bedroom house, 900 square feet, sells for $200,000. Comparable cost is $300,000. So we're 30% less. So we can be competitive. And then we will ultimately go in lower markets, but it's good to kind of start out in a higher margin kind of market or high cost market, lower facilities, and just looking at unit economics with everything you do.
Yeah, thank you. And to speak a little bit about how we avoid that of having been in the industry for a long period of time, I think I'd go back to one of the initial slides I had where we are. I do not think manufactured housing is the solution to the housing crisis. It's part of a solution. We need everything we have. So I think new players and new entrants into the marketplace are a net positive for our country and for everyone out there. But we're looking to innovate and disrupt ourselves, right? We want to challenge ourselves to grow. And, the cross-mod product is one of those where we've really challenged ourselves as an industry of like, we need to stretch ourselves. We need to develop new solutions. So I think that's one of the others is that we're always looking to shift and change the model. Just because it's what's been working doesn't mean that that's the only way to do it. And so I think that's part of is using our size and our scale to test and try new things too.
If you don't mind, I'll add. I think what helps us is we came from a construction industry. There are a lot of startups that people think that they are experts in, robotics or 3D printing, and they start to figure out how to do construction. I think coming from construction industry helps a lot. So we're a licensed general contractor in addition to being now a licensed manufacturer in California. So all California, we do installations ourselves. With installations out of state, we provide videos, we train people, we know how to select the right contractor to install. So working in partnership, and we install for other people. So we learn from example what how it's easier to work with a manufacturer, because if a contractor can install our product quickly, customer is happy, they can get more business from the same customer by doing decks and landscaping and all the other improvements and be successful. So
yeah, that's great. I think we had another question here, or did you have one?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Please go ahead, ma'am.
I have kind of two parts, but with the cross mod product, number one, is it something that can be built in the Midwest or colder climates? And what do you see as a price per square foot or, cost comparison as that goes? And then the second question on the ADU financing, really intriguing. Do you take second position on that, or how is that structured? What do you see?
Yeah. I will answer the cross-mod question first and then let someone else answer a financing question. I'm much better on the building side than the finance. Don't know the numbers. So one, to answer your question, can the homes be built? Clayton, we have got 40 facilities across the country, all the way from, we've got one in Redwood Falls, Minnesota, a bunch in East Tennessee. So, yeah. So
30 miles for me.
I would love to talk right after this. Yeah. Hi. So yes, we're well positioned to be able to support attainable housing anywhere in the country, right? And so we're always focused on. I think our main goal would be to get to a place where how a home is going to serve the homeowner and the person who's living in it and that family is so much more important than where or how the home is built, right? And so, but for wherever we're placing a home, for whatever that wind zone is, that thermal zone, that snow load, like we build the homes to meet the standards for the place where it will be serving a homeowner. So yes, we absolutely can produce cross-mod homes in that area. I think there was was there a second part to the cross-mod question, or did I answer price? So price per square foot I'm going to get a little wonky with you on it because it's hard to say. Obviously, the most difficult thing to estimate is going to be land cost, right? And I think there are a lot of folks in this room who probably have tools and resources available to them to help bring that land cost down, whether you're working with a land bank. We've just recently completed a few projects pursuing that, or municipal governments sell you the land for $1 or whatever. There's just a lot of opportunity, right, to take that cost down. The other difficult challenge is that you kind of have two routes with our industry that you can go. In each state, you're required to have a state-specific retail license. And so in order to get the home at the lowest possible cost per square foot, you would need to then go pursue getting your own retail license. And so we have the ability to help guide you and shepherd you through that process for each state. The other option is to work with someone who already has an existing retail license. And we have resources and things there to help you pursue that. So it really kind of comes down to I know this isn't a great answer because you asked a very simple question of how much per square foot. The answer is it depends on a lot of different factors. And so giving you a number can be misleading. I'd want to know more about what you're trying to solve for. And then, because we can do anything, right? And, anything's possible with enough time and money. I say that frequently, right? Like we put a man on the moon. That wasn't cheap though, right? So we can do anything. Helping us understand, and that's part of the reason we're participating in forums and places like this, is try and build relationships with people who are so focused on affordable housing to help us understand what's the numbers that are going to make sense for you, and then from there we can engineer a solution about what makes the most sense for the families and consumers you're trying to serve. So I'll let you take the ADU financing question.
Sure. And I am the dealer here in California for Homes by NPHS. And so what Ramsey definitely spoke to is correct, because the houses vary in size. And so, yes, all of those things that he spoke to, land and whatnot. Now, as it relates to ADU, the financing for there, we have determined at NPHS that there was none, honestly. And so NPHS, being a nonprofit NeighborWorks organization, CDFI, we also piloted a program, ADU Go. And so that is to help the 80% AMI families be able to afford an ADU. And so I want to say we do have our first initial investment of things of that nature, but just still kind of piloting that program. To answer your more detailed question than that, we are going in second position because the primary homeowner typically has, especially right now in this environment, a low interest mortgage. And so we didn't want to have them refinance, obviously with interest rates being what they are, but being able to also provide them with the financing needed for their project. That is something very unique to our ADU Go program. So we're not just financing the unit, we're financing the entire project. Delivery, installation, permits, all of that is included.
Excellent. All right. I see you guys are making it easy for me to moderate with your questions. I appreciate that. So
I don't know who was first, so I'm going here.
Yes, ma'am. We'll work our way towards the front with this.
Good evening, everyone. My question is for the 3D printing. It's not a scale for affordable housing to see if it is affordable, because it's a new model and everyone is following a high market, a high clientele, because it's custom built. But when will you see the scale go down where it can be affordable for us as nonprofits to use this product? Or else we can get a machine ourselves and then mess with your margins and prove that it's cheaper to build.
We're not profitable yet. We're profit seeking. So be afraid of what you ask for. we really were designed to be an affordable solution. I would love to talk with lenders in the room. I'm going on tomorrow after here. I'm going to LAX and flying to North Carolina. The mayor of a rural town in North Carolina who wants to buy 44 of our homes, and we're going to deliver it competitive price. And what he loves about it, it's sustainable, it's healthy, it's cool looking. You know, this is inner city type community. He wants it to be the best product for his folks, and he owns the city foreclosed on all the slots. He's going do not. I mean, yeah, I show some nice pictures, but I really, it's aesthetically beautiful to look at, and it's designed to be affordable. So now for them, I mean, we basically said for him to afford it, we will. One of my investors is formerly in trucking business. We have great trucking rates. So we will figure out how to deliver it at very low cost. And again, do it, you know, and ultimately set up a facility closer by. So initially we'll start shipping. I just flew in this weekend from Maui. You know, again, we have people who want us to rebuild this emergency housing. Again, initially, you know, yeah, we can ship them, but shipping every unit, every module to Maui is $6,000-$7,000. We can bring just 2 3D printers. They have so much plastic that they incinerate that could be used for this product. So there are many, many interesting solutions, but you have to be creative. You know, you can't just say, well, you know, I want stuff that looks exactly like it was before, and I want it cheap, and I want you to 3D print it. So there are some balances. I mean, we have flexibility, speed, and cost as well, especially as projects get larger.
Excellent. Thank you. Yes, sir.
All right. Check. Yep. So this is a financing question, kind of, but the product that you mentioned is, I think, the first time that a non-modular home gets into the conforming bucket, so that the loan products allow the interest rates that make a home affordable. And that process is such a slow process because all the conforming categories are based on loan performance data, which accrues over time. So manufactured and modular homes are still paying the penalty of previous products that had poor outcomes in the mortgage space. So for 3D printing homes, which have no performance data right now, they're, to my knowledge, they're a world away from achieving a funding opportunity for a home buyer. Is there any work being done at a policy level to talk about that?
Lots of work being done, and just a lot. It was in the last 30 days. FHA had now said that they'll finance 3D printed homes, and in California, in this respect on financing, a lot of innovation is happening in California, and a lot of it is driven by the fact that we have such shortage and we have a bipartisan support for innovative ideas. And so, for example, I worked with a mortgage broker from San Diego. She petitioned the Appraisal Institute to create a separate branch that just appraises ADUs, because ADUs were not appraised at the same cost per square or price per square foot as traditional housing. And now they're appraising it at the same cost. So again, so far, again, we have a very good group of investors. We don't have venture funds, but a lot of entrepreneurs. And we have one company that offers lease financing. So they don't do B2C, but they do B2B, and they finance developers who, again, hopefully, I mean, again, today was a good day. As inflation numbers are down, hopefully we will see interest rates leveling down or coming down. So there is some ways to finance something that the developers can prepay without prepayment penalty after the project is complete. Again, in California, the numbers are, to build something for under $200 per square foot, where the market is $750 per square foot, it's just immediate value creation. So look to California for innovation. Now you can there is a bunch of new laws passed in the last couple of months that allow, for example, a homeowner to build an ADU, split a property. And now you can have 4 units on one single family lot. We have a developer right here in 29 Palms that has a land under contract initially for 10 units. He'll be able to do 40 units on the same property. So I think that the key is to just not to allow barriers to say it can't be done. There are enough people all over the country and then, bipartisan support of trying to just not say no, because if we say no, we're going to continue. I mean, I think there's going to be a new count for homeless in January, and I'm afraid to see what the new numbers are going to be, because there are a lot of people in their 50s and 60s that are becoming homeless at much higher rates. The only category that we're making progress finally is with veterans, but in every other category, the numbers are increasing. So we got to do something, because we just can't. And look, I live 3 miles from my office. I drive by 50 homeless people every day.
Yeah, I think you're onto something to add to it a bit. I think that there is such a great need that you're seeing a lot of innovation. You're seeing a lot of acceptance of new ideas, new ways of thinking, and new approaches, because we have to do that. We can't follow the same models that we've been using, because that's led us to this place that we're at now with significant and severe underproduction. And we have to create new pathways and new models to home ownership that aren't out there today, because otherwise we're in a bad situation that's going to get a lot worse. And so I've been struck that, the current administration's done a lot to try and improve and change financing options for all these different kind of home ownership models that we have. So I think, did you have a question up front?
And
here?
you know what? Can I speak to that while the
please, go
mic
ahead.
is in transition? Here in California, we have definitely been fighting to change legislation so that, again, ADUs can get the financing that is needed. The lot splitting can happen so we can create more homeowners. So again, just working with your local legislation will definitely help push the initiative that much further.
Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Brian Rathbone. I'm a broadband planner and former broadband installer. And while you guys have been talking, I couldn't help but think that once you place this lovely, beautiful structure, that I'm going to show up right after it and start drilling holes in it. So I wanted to ask the question, have you considered providing ingress near the utilities and at the roof level, and pre-wiring both coaxial and Ethernet cabling inside these structures, or at least offering it as an option?
Yeah. So I don't know how you guys solve for it. If you want to try.
I'm the policy guy, so I'll have to follow up with our construction team to get the specifics on that.
Yeah, I think many of our homes are set up to make it fairly easy. I think that's the kind of thing that if we're not doing a great job of that already, learning from people like yourself to help us, better understand what would enable a better product that would enable a better outcome for the families that are going to live in it, we're going to be open to exploring those ideas and processes that could become a challenge for us. I mentioned the HUD code that we build all of our homes to. That would be, in my mind, without, I'm also a little bit more on policy and don't build them. But that would be something where we'd have to know and understand how to navigate that code. But if it's going to be better outcomes for families, we're going to be pretty laser focused on trying to capitalize on that, pursue a new opportunity.
See, I'm not a policy guy. I just have a big mouse. But I can tell you, we're all about smart home. And, we need to have technology in the home, because I know that the moment we're finished, there's going to be some new innovation. And so we have a young team, and they're just looking to do the most innovative stuff there is. So just open to ideas.
And at NPHS, all of our homes, as we work with our contractors, all of our homes, we're converting them into smart homes on site. So the thermostats are basically able to say, hey, there's too much carbon dioxide in the house, open up the windows, let fresh air in. So we are doing things. I guess one of the aesthetically pleasing things that we also do with our homes is we make them cordless, meaning we have the outlets put in specifically at the TV height, so the cords can go down through the wall and come out the bottom. So we do things to make them very nice as well as healthy. We're also looking at air quality control, allergens and things of that nature as it relates to our house. The other thing that we do is we wait for our homeowners to live in the property for about 6 months, and then we install solar. So we can then look at their actual usage to determine the best solar system that they need, so they can, again, not just afford the home, but now you're putting money back in their pocket every month by reducing their monthly cost for electricity.
Thank you. I will just add that HUD is concerned about connectivity in these homes. So I think you'll find them receptive to that. And if there's anything I can do to help you, I'm happy to do so.
Yeah, I would love to get your information, understand that. And frankly, it might be that we have them, that new constructed homes are ready and easily accepting, whatever the cords are that we need. But okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. RaShawna says, I trust her. She knows it well.
Well done.
Like each of our homes, to the point that she was saying about thinking about trying to make them smart, we have a unique relationship with Ecobee, not sure on the pronunciation. Yeah, the smart thermostat, Ecobee. So every one of our homes, regardless of price point, comes with a smart thermostat in it. So that leads me to think that they're pretty well equipped, but yeah, and RaShawna says they are, so they are. Yeah. Were there any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
And while the mic is in transition, still speaking to that, really the homes come offline from the manufacturing plant plug-in ready. I mean, because again, the contractors are doing the pre-site work based on the engineering plans of the home that is ordered by the client. And so literally it's once they're set into place, they're plugging in the utilities and things of that nature. There are upgrades that clients can do for connectivity and things of that nature, but at the same time, they're coming plug-in ready.
Excellent. Yes, ma'am.
So you all spoke about the added cost and just time that it takes to navigate the permitting, zoning ordinances that you have to deal with as you're putting these new things out in the market. And that is true of the place where I live as well. However, the communities that are open to doing, an intensive overhaul, something more housing forward, the resources in terms of, staff capacity and financial resources just aren't there. You can chase all kinds of grants for different parts of it, but none of it specific to housing zoning reform. So are there, on your wish list of the things that make life so much easier for you to put your units up, are there specific policies or are there specific communities where you've seen a really good model, the templates that other places can follow to make sure that when we try to build a new development of these innovative housing types, that it's easier to navigate that and actually take that house out of the storage unit and put it out where it can serve people?
My first thought, if you're asking, sounds like a little bit of your question is, do you have a policy wish list? In which my answer would be like, I don't know that we've got enough time for me to run through all of it. Daniel, I'd be really curious to hear what your thoughts are on that. I have some myself, but I'm curious if you're.
I think just a broad bucket would just be the streamlining of the process. I mean, we have to get both the manufacturing licensure at the state level as well as then the construction licensure so that we can get this online as quick as possible. And again, I think just that process of a year to be able to get this product licensed, and then we're learning as we're franchising it out to different locations, including even Indian reservations, that it's a completely different process in each place. And so a policy wish list would be some kind of way that we can streamline this, and so that there doesn't have to be the education too on the whole manufactured side. Because again, when you're sitting down with local officials or even state officials and you're talking about this, it's over their head. That's part of innovation, right? Is that you're going in and talking about new concepts that they just don't know. So you're often kind of trying to get them caught up. So even if some kind of streamlining, but also some kind of broader awareness that we could raise on this issue, I think would help the process so much.
And I definitely agree, because part of our challenge at NPHS is, again, one city can have one set of rules. The city next door has a completely different set of rules. And so even though the state is making legislation changes and things of that nature, which is great, it's the cities that are actually making the decisions, so to speak, to their local environment. And so that is the biggest challenge that we are having, because yes, the units are built to HUD code. So the government has said, yes. It's the cities that are saying, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I have a map actually of, and I'll be more than happy to email it to you. Just give me your card. Really all three of us are from states that have utilized third-party approval and third-party inspection. That's a huge time saver, So when people call me from Tennessee or Texas or a bunch of southeastern states or Midwestern states where that's just like in California, of all places, California is the DHS, on the state level, manufactured housing is very easy. In terms of, I get a third-party inspection, they review my product. They're the ones who review their product. They're the ones who tested the product. They put we develop acceptance criteria with ICC. So because our material is totally new. So they've tested it and now they approve our stuff. But when somebody calls me from Washington and Oregon, excuse me, but it's like they're the poor states. They require local inspection, local approval. Then I just say, look, just get in line because we work with so many other states. But even there, so in Colorado, one of our customers, Colorado allows third-party inspection, but doesn't allow third-party approval. And one of our clients went to their department, they administratively, and this was just a few months ago, said, because we have a backlog, we'll let the same third-party inspection agency approve it. So don't accept even that map that I have that's very, I think, is sophisticated. Don't accept it if you're in a state that doesn't allow it. Just work with your local folks.
Yeah, I think to summarize, I begin to sound a little bit like a broken record from what the others have shared, but that the same way that the HUD code from a building perspective and building code enables us, because whether we're going to build a home that is going to be right here in California or it's going to be in East Tennessee, where I'm from, or Atlanta, Georgia, we can build it the same way each and every time. I think if we could find a way to enable that same kind of national code from a zoning perspective, the more we can allow manufactured housing and modular housing to be considered R1 traditional single family housing, the better. I think one of the things it's incumbent on us in the industry is to try and help educate people nationally, and coming to forums and participating in things like this is part of how we do that. But that we're a market rate solution, right? Like we're able to achieve price points right now today that are not possible for someone building site built, right? And so we just need that standardized regulation so that we can put homes where people want to live, or overcome some of their zoning is a tough one because the way we get zoned out can vary dramatically from, as RaShawna was saying, from municipality to municipality. There are some places where, it's easy to place a manufactured home. You just have to have 10 acres to do it, right? And so when you think about trying to think about rural housing, like no developer, for profit or otherwise, is going to pursue a project where you have 1 per 10 acres. Like that's not a scalable solution. So if we could have a national zoning code, that'd be great. There doesn't seem to be a lot of appetite for even at the state level to dictate to local municipalities about, but it's a little silly because I think, we're not talking about putting chemical plants next to elementary schools, right? Like that's what zoning should be about, not trying to prevent more homes and more home ownership. So. Yes, sir. I think we have 2 questions here. There's, I don't know where the microphone is. We've got one from the gentleman here and one there.
It's been a long time since I was called a gentleman, but thank you.
Hey, you're welcome.
So I believe it was Gene who threw out a number, and your cost per square foot was, my estimation, $222 a square foot. That's where I'm from. That's not close to affordable. But Daniel, you mentioned that you were putting a plant in Pine Bluff, and I'm from Arkansas. Do you have any sense of cost per square foot? And then secondly, can either of you, and I apologize, I was late, if you haven't talked about insulation or R values, can you speak a little bit to that? Thank you.
Yeah, the cost per square foot, I mean, we are in the most expensive market in terms of rent for our facility and and labor cost. So don't translate that's going to be in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. And the other thing is the cost of our material. I mentioned we're in the fourth material. The costs have come down 30% more. We're still paying for our recycled plastic. I think we should be paid for reusing it, right? So thank you. So the cost is coming down. In terms of our value, so what we have that panel, that's just one wall. So the way we print one outside bead and then one inside bead, and we leave void in the middle. That's where we run our electric plumbing, and that's where we insulate. So our standard now comes R30 on all roof, ceiling, walls. But we're working with somebody from Alaska, and they want R45 or R48. We can do it by just leaving 2 more inches between the inside and outside. So our material actually withstand we have better test results from cold temperature than hot temperature, especially like in this area where the temperature goes, it might be, it was 80 degrees during the day, might be 45 at night. So yeah, insulation. And for our product, it's not the product itself, it's how much void we leave between interior and exterior bead. And it's very, very simple, very easy to customize.
I don't have the exact figure put down, but it's about $60,000 for cost to client. We're able to produce it at a little bit under that as far as the unit. So it's a 572 square foot is your base model. That's the most base. Again, they can customize to kind of where that price might increase as high as $100,000, depending on what custom features that they want. But I think, I really have to thank some of our philanthropic partners, especially Chase and Wells Fargo, who let us kind of learn the hard way how to get that price down. Because again, we had to combine a new manufacturing knowledge with that construction knowledge. And it took us a while to find that sweet spot in terms of price point. And so we were able to have that kind of breathing room to figure that out down in Brownsville. But then once we achieved it, that's when we got such wide interest from franchise partners, including in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, because to your point, the affordability there is a different question, right? The prices for materials in places like that tend to be, just high enough that, and then the incomes are so low in a place like Pine Bluff, Arkansas, similar to Brownsville, very similar. I think that's why we kind of hit it off as two communities that, yes, very different in a lot of ways, but facing the exact same challenges. And how do you build in a rural area in an affordable price point for the people that live there? And how can you have that locally controlled where you have your offsite manufacturing there? So again, big thank you to our philanthropic partners that let us kind of figure out and crack the code to get that price point down. And now we're looking to next, I think our next franchise is Tennessee. We're also working with Rosebud and Indian Reservation, all of these communities, again, hitting the same kind of math, trying to figure out that price point in the same way.
Yeah, and I'd say that we've got a number of retail locations in Arkansas as well as in West Tennessee, working on a project for, Ford's putting in Blue Oval City in between Jackson and Memphis. It's one of those situations where there's no housing there, mostly because there's not a lot of people who live there anyway. But now they're creating, thousands and thousands of jobs in this rural area that didn't have housing, now has an even greater need for housing. We're able to achieve homes there that are anywhere from $75 to $80 a square foot and moving up from there, some scaling down. Again, it gets into a lot of different variables. So did you have a question, sir?
Yes, this has got to do with your zoning and all that, because I'm actually on the city council on a small town in Northeast Arkansas, and we're right now in the middle of doing some rezoning. And what y'all do is right in the middle of it. And therefore, again, we're a small town and we're fighting the 50-year-old mobile homes that are just an eyesore. They're just falling down. And so a lot of times that's why there's a pushback maybe on what y'all do. And why a lot of the cities look at look at a little harder. But, what we need from y'all is, and like I said, I've really enjoyed what y'all done so far, is showing the quality. And then we really had a big question of like warranty on stuff. How long are you going to back up? If you sell this product, somebody and it gets set up, how long are y'all backing up what's being done? But like I say, just to understand, especially in a lot of small towns and stuff, it's we fought the motor home, not the house traders and stuff like that for so long.
Yeah, well, first off, I would say that the stigma that I mentioned, the perception of our industry that can be a barrier for us, didn't arrive in a vacuum, right? We earned it. We used to do really goofy things in our industry. We used to have doors that weren't even the same size as like what you could go buy at Lowe's or Home Depot. And we'd call those residential type house doors. What are we doing that we've created a term like that is insane, right? So we've moved away from that and are now building using the exact same kind of components and things you'd get in Lowe's, Home Depot that any traditional builder would use. And I'd say that if you need help and you need resources and things to help educate others in your area, that's why our that presentation I gave, I've given it to lots of municipal leaders around the country to try and help them get educated and understand. We'd love to partner together on how to solve that, looking at model language. I think a lot of times too, people do want to achieve the outcomes of the types of homes that we're building today, and may inadvertently be zoning us out, not realizing that some of the things that they're doing are getting there. So I'd love to connect with you afterwards, make sure I'm getting you whatever information you need to help educate others on the kind of quality and the way the homes are built today, so that they can look and see and understand the difference between that and a home that's 50 plus years old. Is a fundamentally different housing solution than what we're building today.
Yeah, we make sure that all of our standards are the highest in terms of construction quality. And of course, I guess we stand by the home in a way because we're also the one lending you, right? So we're your partner in this for 30 years. And so we really stand by the quality of the construction. And also, it's hurricane resistant, right? Because we live in a hurricane area. So even that we're customizing to where we're at, right? It's not just, hey, we're building you a home and then we walk away. It's also an understanding of, hey, this is our community too. And so we want to see the highest quality homes replacing what's already a dilapidated stock, which I think will take me to my second point. We've been lucky on the zoning issue because we haven't ran into NIMBYism as much, because in a lot of the rural communities we're working in, there's usually such dilapidated housing stock that any kind of opportunity for us to step in and say, hey, we're going to replace this with a house that looks like this. Usually local communities have been on board. So we've been lucky in that one.
Yeah. Sorry, real quickly, I think I failed to answer your question about how long we'd stand by a product. We have a minimum of 1 year warranty on everything related to the home. Different parts of the components in the home, hot water heater, things like that, have other warranties and stuff that are those manufacturer specific, but a minimum 1 year warranty. We often see a lot of developers and folks stand by a little bit further. That usually comes in the form of that end person who's selling the home to a consumer, as opposed to where we may be selling the home wholesale. But in terms of a facility warranty, it's a minimum of 1 year. Go ahead. Sorry.
And to Ramsey's point, yes, that is even standard with new construction site-built homes, as our larger developers offer the 1 year warranty. So 1 year warranty definitely out of the factory. NPHS, we have definitely been known to offer extended warranties as well. But to that point as well, we, NPHS, has actually partnered with IBHS. And so they're the Insurance, Business, and Housing Safety. And so we are ensuring that our houses in our area are wildfire resilient. So we're doing that 5 feet perimeter around our house. We're, making sure that certain things are covered. We're including the WUI package, which definitely keeps the vents and things. What does it? It's fireproof kind of venting and things of that nature. So we're taking the extra step to even ensure in our region that the homeowners are even that much more safe and secure with the homes that they purchase from us.
And because we use new product, we go above and beyond. So we offer a 10-year warranty on the structure, 1 year on everything inside, 10-year on structure, and 15-year on the collar. And it's not because we work with PPG, who offer the UV protection, and you will not need to paint it for 15 years. So I think we're almost out of time. Thank you so much for staying.
I think we've got maybe time for one last question from the gentleman there.
Sorry, this is another finance and possibly painful question.
We're out of time.
So for the products that you sell where you are personally financing, and one of the challenges has been when cases were made to the GSEs, and that's, I was there at the time, to make them a conforming product or give them access, that the interest rates charged by the mobile home financing companies were always high because performance required that. And if the argument is now that performance on these products should be treated as a conforming property, what kind of interest rates are you all charging to folks who finance through your organizations?
Yeah, so you're right. That is a painful question, or at least a difficult one, right? That has a lot of complexity. And I'll qualify my answer with that I'm not a banker and I've never written a loan in my life. But we generally have competitive interest rates when you look at the national scale, where you see our industry sometimes trend above traditional real estate interest rates is when you're moving towards, and this is going to get very in the weeds, so I apologize. But when we move to a more chattel product, right? So it's not a conforming loan, it's not a traditional 30-year. That oftentimes, just because the way it's collateralized is very different, results in a little bit higher interest rate. That's part of the reason that we've shifted to really trying to innovate, bring cross mod as a solution to the market, because in order for that to have the financing that's backed by FHA, Fannie, Freddie, you have to surrender the title of the home. It has to be affixed to the property as real estate. And if we're doing that, then you would have the same kind of interest rates that a consumer would get if they were to go and buy a traditional, conventionally site-built home. It would be on a one-to-one in terms of what they would be available for. So all the factors of that consumer's credit score, background, all of that would go into it. So they're not inherently, by the nature of them, they're one-to-one with a site-built product. So
I can definitely speak, to that, because all of the products that we NPHS set, they're on permanent foundation. So we're selling to our clients, which are the lower income families and families who typically would not be able to purchase a home. So again, their first mortgage is exactly the same that they would at a traditional built home.
Yeah, hopefully that wasn't too in the weeds and answered enough. Happy to connect with you afterwards. I think we're now standing between you and cocktails. So
yes, please give it up
really
one more
appreciate
time
the
for this
questions.
amazing panel. Thank you all so much. The bad news is that the panel is over, but the good news is that the cocktail reception is happening now, and you can continue to speak to these wonderful panelists over a drink. So it's at the tennis center pool, and the map is here. It's just straight that direction. So we'll see you all there.